Hi, and welcome to today's video. It speaks deeply to me. It is 4 ways to keep it classy online and why it's critical. As somebody who's been in the public eye for about 25 years now, I think this is an area where I might offer some expertise, certainly some perspective. But there is a generation of our population that is greatly affected by online comments, and that is our children and the impact on social media. It's something that I'm going to dive into a little bit later in this video, but it's really what has spurred this video and made me want to present it to you because of my concern about where things are going online, especially when it comes to comments and criticism and the tone and tenor that's out there. You know, let's think about it. Not long ago, the only access that people had to each other was either through a phone call or sending an email, but you never had a guarantee that the email would reach its recipient if you had something maybe negative to say. There were layers and layers to prevent direct access. But in today's culture, with everybody and anybody, from politicians to news figures to celebrities to musicians to athletes, everybody is online. The access is greater than it's ever been before, and the ability to comment through the veil of anonymity, which I call keyboard courage, is also greater than it's ever been before because it's allowed the population to be able to offer comment, criticism, good, bad, indifferent, ugly, whatever, and to have a platform to do it. But what's happening is the trend of these comments is getting more negative, more nasty, salacious, hurtful. The direction with which the comment culture is going is an area of concern for me, especially as a parent. I'm a grown woman. I've seen it all. I've heard it all. I can take it all. My skin is thick. But our young children today are dabbling in an arena where they are subjected to all of the comments, the criticism, and they don't have the self-esteem, they don't have the mental development to be able to handle it all. So I want to talk about this culture that we have online, and my goal through this video is to raise awareness about it, to understand the impact of it, and to hopefully create change in it. I am using my platform as my pulpit in areas that are of importance to me. And I think you're here because this video speaks to you and it's resonating. So let's think about a couple of things that can be done to change the current culture that exists now. There's the old adage that we grew up with, which is, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. I think it has gone by the wayside. I think there's a generation that's never heard it before, but needs to understand and appreciate it, that not every thought that we have should be put out there, that sometimes we got to zip it in the name of courtesy and doing the right thing. Sometimes it's best just to back away and stay away. And I will also offer this. Not only think about the impact of the words, because verbal and written impact is great and can last a lifetime. Not only of the potential harm to the other person, but also the potential harm to you, because putting out and spewing negativity damages your self-esteem, keeps you down, does not allow you to rise to the level that you were destined to reach. So it is harmful in a multitude of ways. And I think sometimes we need to think before we speak, think before we write, back up a minute and say, will my words offer anything here, or are they just here to bring them down? And if they're heading in that direction, then it might be wise to analyze, why would I put that out there anyway? What is it in me that's causing me to offer that kind of negativity? Is it how I was raised? Is it how I was spoken to? And if so, Yes, acknowledgement can be very hard and painful, but it's also an opportunity to make it a turning point, to go in a new direction, to change past behaviors, and to reach new levels in your life just by changing behavior. So I'm going to stick with that old adage, and I hope that it plants a seed to just not say anything if it's not going to offer any levity. The next thing that I want to present to you is to lift instead of lower. And if you are going to comment, think about the weight of that comment, or think about the levity of that comment. Here's an example. So let's say a friend of yours posts a picture online, and maybe she's wearing something that you think is a little trashy, or not so flattering, or shows too much, or reveals too much. Instead of commenting on that and saying, hey girl, you know, a little too much butt cheek going on, or being hurtful and mean-spirited, maybe it's an opportunity to step back and not say anything, but wait for a moment and opportunity when your friend posts something where you feel she is representing herself in her best light, where she looks classy, she looks sophisticated, she has elevated herself. That's an opportunity to get on that platform and say, hey, wow, you look amazing. I love what you've done here. You've never looked better. You ought to continue this. It's amazing. It's great. What you're doing is you're planting a seed. You're sowing a seed in an opportunity not only for you, but for your friend to reach a new level as well in how she presents herself. And I always have believed that the power of change happens greater through positivity than negativity. So look for those opportunities to lift instead of lower. Look for an opportunity to encourage a girlfriend to be better, to do better, to try harder. There are many of those, but sometimes we have to reserve judgment and wait for opportunity to praise. Next on my list is be mindful of word choices. This is number 3. Foul language, innuendo, overt sexuality, being demeaning or degrading to whomever we target and communicate with really has a lasting impact. And sadly, the reins have really loosened in verbiage and language that's put out there through television, through film, through music, through how we communicate. It has become part of the culture to be nasty. Elementary school kids know what WTF means, and they use it in their communication all the time. Seeds are being planted in our children, words and language that usually don't emerge until late teen years or adulthoods are now being heard and spoken by 6, 7, and 8-year-olds without the grasp or the concept of the weight of those words. So I think that it is so important for us to be careful about our word choices. As I sit here in this area, there's Audrey behind me. And for those of you who don't know why I hung her here, her time in this world speaks to me. It was a time of class, refinement, and elegance in our culture, in our movies, in how people looked, in how they spoke, in how they behaved. She represents a day gone by, a day I wish I could transport myself into and live just for a moment in time. But I think that we can, through mindfulness and through our choices, make an effort to be better, to do better, to revert to class, to revert to elegance, to revert to opportunities to communicate with each other in a way that is not degrading and doesn't also bring down our language in how we speak with one another. And last but not least, number 4 is to set the standard for our children. Like I said, they are overwhelmed these days with negative images, negative messages. They have not necessarily the best role models online or pop culture, where, as I mentioned, the language is demeaning. So where we can make a difference is how we communicate as a family, the language and the tone that's set in the home. It is such a wonderful opportunity to be the foundation for the house which they build, for their own lives, and how they're going to speak in that home that they create. So don't use bad language in the house. And if you hear your children use that language, call them out on it and say, hey, that's not how we speak. You're probably going to hear, yeah, but that's how all my friends talk. Well, I'm not raising your friends, I'm raising you. And let me tell you, cream always rises to the top. Set the standard in your home. It's where all learning begins. Speaking of youth and why I am so compelled to do this video, I want to share some statistics with you, and this is some information that has been on the news lately. These stats are according to the American College Health Association, ACHA. Suicides among girls ages 15 to 19 doubled from 2007 to 2015 when it reached its highest point in 40 years. The suicide rate for boys ages 15 to 19 grew by 30% from 2007 to 2015. Suicide is currently the second most common cause of death among college students. Now, these young people are often away from home, their safety net, what they've grown accustomed to. They are under intense pressure. They're in new environments with a new social circle. Also, studies have shown a direct correlation between the rise in social media and the rise in teen depression. Use this as an opportunity to talk to your child or your grandchild. Open the door. Ask them about the type of communication they're both giving and receiving, either in text messaging or social media platforms. Take a look at it. Open the door, but ask open-ended questions if you feel like your child is struggling in any way, because they may want to close themselves off if they feel isolated or put down. And sometimes talking is a very difficult thing for our children to do. Be present in their lives, encourage them to live a healthy life, encourage healthy habits, eating well, sleeping well, taking care of themselves. All of these things will help support a healthier, happier life, especially if they are dealing with and struggling in this area. And let me tell you, kids can be so mean and vicious to one another. The level of competition, the level of mean-spiritedness in such a young demographic is startling. They need all the support that they can get. They need to know that the door is open, and they need to know that you're there, even if they are trying their hardest to push you out. If you feel like you're doing everything you can and not getting through, and you see your child heading down a slippery slope, don't hesitate to seek out help. If there are things that you cannot do or cannot control in this arena, it is always better to get outside help and guidance than to look back in hindsight and say, I wish I would have done something. What really boggles my mind is I feel that our youth today really don't get to be kids anymore. The day and age in which my generation grew up, we got to go home from school, watch some TV, go out on the streets, walk to a friend's house, ride a bike to a friend's house. We knew to be home by 7. Nobody was on a phone. Nobody was texting, calling, nothing. It was playtime. Children got to play. There is no play anymore. You don't see children in the streets. Why? Because everybody's worried about predators. Our children are having to deal with adult-like pressures and problems. And not only safety, but the pressure to compete, the pressure to get into the right schools. Look at what's happened. The news story with all of the scandal getting kids into schools like USC and Ivy League schools, the lying and the cheating, the pressure, because everybody feels that's where they need to be in order to succeed. The pressure for our kids to perform, for them to make good grades, for them to find good jobs, for them to find the right boyfriend or girlfriend or spouse. It is too much to handle. And you couple with that the pressure online to be cool, to be hip, to have the right clothes, to do the right thing, to say the right thing. It is overwhelming. Our children are overburdened. No wonder these statistics are the way they are. All of these things, do they guarantee success in life? I doubt it. I would argue that character and the way you conduct yourself is what separates you. And so what I'm asking for here is a character shift. What I'm asking for here is a conscious effort to rise above the current trend, to get out of the fish, to get out of that current and swim in a new direction. And everybody as an individual has a power to make change if the value system is there and it's worthy enough to dictate it. And so I'm here today to talk about my quest to get change in an environment that I see as toxic, negative, and demeaning to society as a whole, and especially our children. I encourage you to be a part of this. I encourage you, if this video speaks to you, to share it. Share it with your family member, share it with a friend, a child, a grandchild. Let's get the word out there that there is a better way, that there is a healthier way to conduct ourselves and to communicate, to realize that the biggest blessing in life is to be a blessing to somebody else. And this is a great opportunity to do that. Also, if you like what you see and you hear on this channel, and this channel is a myriad of information from beauty, health, wellness, lifestyle, organization, but honestly, it's all about living your best life. I ask that you subscribe and ring the bell next to the subscribe button, because that will allow my videos to come to your inbox. You'll be notified every time I release a new video, which is every Thursday at 1 p.m. Also, I ask that you come find me on social media. The next time you're on Facebook or Instagram, type in Dominique Sachse and follow me. It is a magnificent community. I share my life with you. I read your comments, we interact, and it's such a great venue. It is a great positive venue. And on that note, I offer my thanks and my gratitude, because I am so grateful to you, this community, for keeping it up there, for being the best, saying the best, and doing your best. I am always enamored and really, really touched by what you share with me and what you have to say. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart, because I know that this message means something to you, because you conduct yourself the same way as well. Go out, be bold, and be blessed this week, and I look forward to seeing you next Thursday at 1 o'clock. Bye-bye.